My name's Angela Imperioli, and I'm originally from Leamington, Ontario in Canada. It's very close to the US border, and I spent most of my life there until coming to the United States for optometry school. I instruct students in primary care clinic. I and seeing patients with them. I also instruct students in the classroom. I teach optometric theory and methods. Those classes are teaching students basically the exams that are done during a complete eye exam, as well as why we do it, and posterior segment ocular disease. So any of the diseases related to the back part of the eye. I'm also in lab, like this one here, instructing students actual hands-on on those techniques as part of the optometric exam. I started wearing glasses very early on, at the age of 8. So I would be at the optometrist's office about every 6 months for many years. And my optometrist could see my enthusiasm for eye care, things that he was doing, the practice itself. So he encouraged me to shadow him. And then when I was old enough, actually encouraged me to work there. So I did in a lot of my summers off. And that's really where the passion developed. So what I feel like is, to this day, I'm still extremely passionate about optometry and eye care. And I really strive every day to bring a lot of that enthusiasm to work, sharing it with the students, sharing it with my patients. I think MCPHS does a great job of preparing students for a career in healthcare. They do it in several ways. I can definitely attest to with the optometry program. Um, they help students with early hands-on exposure, which I think is really vital. Classroom learning obviously is important, but getting that early exposure, knowing how to interact with the patient in that particular field is really key, very helpful. The second thing is interprofessional education. The university takes that very seriously, and they enjoy the fact that the programs can interact with one another, and that team-based approach is really critical. Uh, Whether it be the American healthcare system or the Canadian healthcare system, I think that that's critical. So that is set up here before the student actually graduates. And when they're out there, it's just a very natural thing to collaborate with other professions for the benefit of the patient. The third way that I feel that the university really sets the student up is preparation for licensure. I think that's very important, and they really are attuned to the fact that every country is going to have slightly different ways that their profession is going to be licensed. We have various rooms set up that mimic the examination, mock written examinations for students, and that's both the Canadian and the US version. So I think that that's really important. That way that the first time the student is exposed to these board exams isn't when they actually have to take it. So all those things really combined help the student prepare for their profession. I think MCPHS is a very special place, especially for international students, in particular Canadian students, which I interact a lot with as well. The university does a really great job of reaching out to international students. They have dedicated staff that does that for the Canadian students in particular. There is a member that students to this day still will talk about, whether it be during their interview or when they get on campus, how she reaches out to them, answers emails very timely. Any question that they have, she answers. So that is really very helpful. The university also supports students in the whole visa process, which sometimes can be really stressful for students. So it does a great job of that. And it really continues to support students even when they get on campus. So not only as part of the application process, but when they get here, that support is really palpable. Students really can feel it, can sense it. So the university does an excellent job of not only supporting students through the process, but when they get here, so that then when they do arrive on campus, they feel confident as they start their journey here on campus. As far as supporting the international students and Canadian students, a lot of it really is the after hours activities. So some of my favorites are the Canadian Thanksgiving that takes part. So being part of that is really wonderful. It takes me back. It's been a long time since I've been able to do that. The Canada Day in July, celebrating that is also a lot of fun. Diwali is big on campus, so getting to partake in part of that. So just supporting students that way, um, you know, outside of the classroom, outside a lab, outside a clinic, seeing them, just as the people and the interests that they have is really very important. It's really rewarding for us, and the students. It's just nice to see them enjoy themselves. There is collaboration pretty much in a day-to-day basis. So between programs, between faculty members of the same program, between students and faculty, between the students themselves, it's just so clear. I don't think a day goes by that I don't experience some of that, that collaborative spirit. And you don't find that necessarily everywhere, at least to this level. And I think that that's really important. I think it's important for the students. I think it's important for faculty. So it really works both ways. When I moved to the US, I didn't know a single person. Um, Language wasn't a barrier being from Canada, but everything else was, being able to set up a bank account, being just simple things. Where do I go grocery shopping? So those were the biggest barriers. They seem so simple now. But those were some of the barriers that you don't think about. You just think about the school and the program and what I need to study. But I do have to say that even with those simple daily activities, you're going to find a lot of support here on campus. Just little things like that, and you will find your friends. I never have run into a student that hasn't been able to do that because of the community, because of the area. I think that that's easy enough to do given time. Um, and I think it was one of the best decisions I made. Setting up a life for myself here was wonderful.